So if you know anything about Nate Silver is the big predictor of elections, except, and because he's all about the numbers, except he's not. And we've proven it before. A lot of other people are catching on to this, that Nate Silver is full of bias, just like everyone else. And the statistics he chooses to use in his calculations reveal his bias, right? So he just doesn't use all the statistics. He chooses which ones, and he chooses which ones to weigh. And again, we've talked about this. Plenty of other people have talked about this. And so, he's no genius when it comes to this stuff. And he's been wrong for sure. Especially he was completely wrong about Donald Trump. And because he believes in that theory that the establishment, the party will pick the nominee. And Donald Trump showed that that wasn't true. So that's another one of those pieces of information Nate Silver would weigh more heavily because of his own bias. Like he just doesn't think, I don't know. He thought, no way, Donald Trump. So he's 100% wrong about that. So he tweeted this out. So after the California primary and everybody's talking about Hillary Clinton as the nominee, he tweeted this out. This is Nate Silver. He says, my intuition as a human being. That's a Dore. I don't know. That's funny. That's funny. That strikes me as funny. My intuition as a human being, as opposed to the, I think he means as opposed to the pundit or the numbers guy. I'm going to let myself talk emotions here. I think that's what that signals. So he says, my intuition as a human being, not an elections guy. That's what he's saying. Is that Sanders needs to find a way to save face. And he'll do that in the coming days. That Bernie Sanders. So what that implies, well, here's what I said. My intuition is that Nate Silver has very, very shitty intuition. Still has no idea what Sanders is about. I got 319 retweets. That's very respectable. That's an upper echelon of tweets, I think.
I agree.
893 likes. That's for people who say, I like it, but I don't want to. There's some people that I know who follow me who this would upset, and I don't want to start a fight. But I'll like it. So, well, my point is, Nate, Bernie Sanders isn't in this. He's not they still don't understand he's not a normal politician. That's why a guy who calls himself a socialist, who had no organization whatsoever and zero name recognition, started out 60 points down in the polls, managed to get 46% of the delegates against the most powerful political machine in a generation. That's who Bernie Sanders is. Because he's not thinking about cashing in. He's not thinking about himself. It isn't about his ego, which is why he's continuing on to the convention, or so he said. Because this doesn't end with, so this is what so that's what Nate Silver doesn't get. This is not about, I was in the room when Cenk Uygur asked Senator Sanders, I was sitting next to his wife, Jane, we were watching the interview, and Cenk Uygur asked Senator Sanders, so what would it take for you to, if Hillary is the presumptive nominee, for you to support her? What would it take? What do you want? Now, most politicians want something. Like Hillary Clinton said, make me Secretary of State. So they did. Do you have any evidence of that? So that's what usually happens. The politician has now amassed power, meaning I've got people who will follow me. So that's my power. And now I'm going to cash it in and I'll become Secretary of State, or I'll become the Treasury, whatever. I'll be an ambassadorship, whatever it is. It's always about, and that's why Bernie Sanders is such a thorn in these guys' sides, because the normal pressure on him doesn't work. He's not looking to cash in. They're like, they're going to try and make him ostracize him from the Democratic Party. This guy this isn't just for this campaign. This is the culmination of his entire public life. And that's the stuff that guys like Nate Silver just don't understand and never will understand. And that's him revealing that he doesn't understand the phenomena, what it's about. That whole thing about it's not about me, it's us, that's not bullshit. This is from a guy who's 74 years old. If he was going to cash in, would have did it long ago. If it was about his ego, He would be a totally different kind of politician. So when Cenk Uygur asked, what will it take for you to support Hillary Clinton? Jane leaned over to me, his wife, just as I was saying to her, how about a $15 minimum wage? She leaned over and she goes, it's not about him. And that's what I was saying. Yeah, I knew that he would instinctively want a policy. He wouldn't want a position for himself. And she knew exactly the same thing. And so did everybody. It's not about his ego. He's not a regular politician. That's why, with absolutely nothing on his side, he fought against the establishment media, the establishment Democrats, everything, and he still got 46% of the pledged delegates. Why? Because he's not in it for himself. That's why. Because he's not a usual politician. And that's why they just don't get it. And that's why they were chanting CNN sucks at his rally in Santa Monica. So for all those people who don't know what kind of person Bernie Sanders is and what he's about, Nate Silver's one of them, even though he studies elections. And here it is. Here's the kind of guy Bernie Sanders is. And this is what makes him different from other politicians.
Just say that my political career is different than anybody else's. Because I didn't get into politics to figure out how I could become president or a senator. I got into politics because I give a damn.
Because he gives a damn. And that's just the people, the inside the bell are like, what? This guy care? What are you talking about? You're supposed to be like this, and then you get a lobbyist job, and then you go work at a bank like Barney Frank, and you become, or Howard Dean. You cash in. It's about cashing in. It's about you're liberal to the voters, but then when the door closes and the money men come up, you're just a regular corporate tool. That's not Bernie Sanders. If he was going to cash in, he would have done it a long time ago. He actually gives a damn, which turns out will hurt you.